The NWU Gallery, in collaboration with the Goethe-Institut South Africa, is currently hosting the Feminism Ya, mang Yethu, Yani exhibition that is curated by Samantha, Modisenyane and Masechaba Moloi. This group project features artists such as Jodi Bieber, Ayanda, Teresa Firmino, Helena Uambembe, Jabu Nadia Newman, Kelly Johnson, Lulama Wolf Mlambo, Saaiqa, Thato Ramaisa. And to tell us more about this body of work, we're now joined over Zoom by its co-curator, Masechaba Moloi. Masechaba, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Now tell us more about the Feminism Ya, mang Yethu, Yani group exhibition and what it's all about.
So Feminism Ya, mang is an exhibition that focuses on the experiences of South African women. And in our curation of this exhibition, we tried to choose a number of artists that would represent the varying ages, the classes, the races, and the religious perspectives, as well as sexuality of the different women in our country and in the region that is Sub-Saharan Africa. Feminism Ya, mang also looks at the various ways of expression, from poetry to, performance and theater, as well as photographic images that in a way contribute to the archiving of our story and allowing us to be in charge of the ways in which we tell our stories.
Masechaba, let's talk about the, how this exhibition reflects the diversity of expressions and, experiences and being a woman in spaces such as those represented in this installation.
So the installation is designed to represent Pinkies hair salon, as well as Home of Beauties. And these are meant to reflect the conversations that happen in these spaces. As you will know, women's beauty standards have been a topic of socio-political debate for all of time, and specifically Black women, from our hair to our skin color, our lips. And so we designed the exhibition space as Pinkies Hair Salon to pay tribute to the relaxing of our hair, to pay tribute to the different kinds of gossip you'd hear in those spaces. And then Home of Empties is meant to represent the less spoken about side of feminism. Like the space is often owned by matriarchs. It's your granny's garage, go high. And these are informal ways in which grannies and more rahadi would take us to school. And it's not really represented. Very often our feminist theory represents the very theoretical side, I guess, and the very what would you say, the formative side, the formal side of studying feminism. But we never really look at women who engage in spaces such as Shebeens, who run spaces in such as Shebeens, whose careers in history have been made by singing in those kinds of spaces. So we designed it to kind of speak to both kinds of expressions and not leave anybody out of the conversation.
Masechaba, this is a very, very important exhibition, as I suppose it'll open, the floodgates of discussions with regards to why women allow themselves or allow society to set the standards of beauty for them, yet it's supposed to be a woman herself who is setting the standards for beauty, hey?
Correct. We are the muse at the end of the day. People look to us as African women for inspiration. And so if we realize that we are really what the world is modeling itself off of, I think our value would change.
Let's talk about some of the featured artists in this exhibition.
So we have Jodi Bieber. She's our headlining artist, and Jodi's work was the work that actually, when we first saw it, we saw it before we conceptualized the exhibition. We saw it about 3-4 years ago, and her work is titled Women Who've Murdered Their Husbands. And so that kind of speaks to the conversation where women take power into our own hands, and we're not just victims. We are also capable of taking control of our stories and what happens to us. Then you have kind of Lulama Wolf Mlambo's work, which speaks to the kind of art that would be done by our grandmothers, the style of rock painting and the simplicity and the colors that were available at that time in storytelling of our histories, because we don't have libraries that tell our cultural stories and stories of our heritage. You then move to work like Jabu Newman's work, which is a video installation. And she did something interesting where she included voice notes from friends. And she kind of speaks to the relationship between women and as friends, and how heartbreak can happen in a friendship more so than even in a relationship. And so then you look at Helena Uambembe's work, and her work speaks to women and war, and the role that women have played in war, and how they've been erased in this conversation, yet they were vital, if not the people who carried, wars through, and people who carried men through wars, and who raised families, and even went to the point of taking up jobs that were specifically set out for men during those times. Yeah. So the artists we've included kind of reflects different conversations and perspectives in the conversation of woman and being woman.
Well, Masechaba, I'm guessing that feminism will be the central theme in this exhibition, but there's also other themes such as womanhood, sexuality, age. Why are these so important to cast the spotlight on?
Because being woman and being Black and being African is a complex existence in itself. And if we aren't to really look at ourselves as a whole experience, then we're really cutting out pieces of us that contribute to our true essence. And so we felt that if we left any one of those themes out, we really would be doing the conversation a disservice. It also speaks to allowing different artists to understand that all work doesn't have to be specifically orientated around a certain conversation for it to be considered feminine work or activist work or art in itself. And so we wanted to encourage also other artists and other audience members who experience this exhibition to really think through their own expressions and how their expressions and experiences contribute to the conversation. Sure. We wanted people to personally relate to the show.
Sure. And I see that you've worked alongside another acclaimed female curator, Samantha Modisenyane. Tell us more about the conversations that you've had with regards to combining your visions for this project.
So Samantha Modisenyane, Sam and I have worked on a couple of projects together. And I think the one thing that's really beautiful about our curatorial process is that we both allowed ourselves to feel this exhibition. We kind of took it from the bottom up. We didn't think, what is a curatorial space? What is an exhibition? What is a gallery? What is expected of us? We thought, when we hear the word African feminism, what does it mean to us? And so sure. Sam took it back for herself, and she thought, my uncle the other day asked me, feminism, but at the same time, uncle is a huge, supporter of his mother, of his grandmother, has made sacrifices for the woman in his family. And so it's kind of like uncle is living a life in support of feminism, but doesn't quite understand what it, embodies. And from my end, I come from a taxi family. And so my mother and my grandmother and my grandfather have been in the taxi industry for years. And for me, I started questioning the role that women have played in that capacity. Okay. And so we kind of played with it and workshopped it around. And we decided to have fun with it as well, because very often exhibitions are white cube spaces, white walls, just sure. pictures. And we wanted to make the space not just, because art can be a very intimidating space, we wanted to make the space feel like relevant and home in a sense.
Unfortunately, we're out of time, Masechaba, but thank you so much for joining us. This is a really interesting and exciting exhibition, as it'll open up conversations with regards to a multiplicity of matters. Just share with us where it'll be held, just briefly.
So the exhibition is actually an exhibition tour. It's been going around the country. It started in Johannesburg, but right now it's showing at the NWU Botanical Garden Gallery, which is in Potchefstroom, as well as the satellite galleries. And if you miss it in the Northwest, you can catch it in Cape Town in September.
Great stuff. Masechaba, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Do have a great day now.
Thank you.
That is curator Masechaba Moloi, and she's been speaking to us about the Feminism Ya, mang Yethu, Yani group exhibition that she co-curated with Samantha Modisenyane.